Cold showers, ice baths, dips in the sea and the lake. Ladies, I have been so inspired seeing everyone's photos and videos pop up in our community feed for our 7-day challenge. And I thought, we're on the last day, so I better get my act together and get down and get in the cold. And I thought, Mel, I'm just loving seeing your posts. It's so classic. The stick figure illustrating your gymnastics in the shower, and I love the one that you popped up today showing the wheelie bin and how you might visualize that one day if you do get in the ice bath it will be in a wheelie bin, something a little bit different. And I thought, how could I do something a little bit different? So I am going to walk down the hill. You can see it's a beautiful day. It's a bit windy, so hopefully, it's not too crackly with the audio, but I am going to walk down the hill and I'm going to jump into one of our troughs. I don't think there'll be too much slobber from cows or horses drinking out of it because it's in one of our paddocks that we've locked away for hay. But I would love to share, first of all, some of you may know or may not know that earlier this year I did the Wim Hof facilitator, cold immersion and breath training. A little bit further down south from here. It was quite cold. We jumped into like 4 degrees within the river. I had an opportunity to do that with Marcel Hof, which is Wim Hof's brother. If you haven't heard about Wim Hof or you haven't heard of Wim Hof, you need to Google Wim Hof, also known as the Iceman. This is kind of where the cold immersion popularized from. And I would love to share just a little snippet of Wim Hof to give you guys an idea of who this incredible man is.
How does your morning routine look like?
Yeah, opening the eyes and I begin with a good deep breath. And then very soon later I'll take a cold shower.
How long?
If you take a couple of minutes and you make sure all the body adapts to the cold, because you are very warm. You're warm like a hot dog.
Right.
When you wake up, nice and easy, like a marmot, like a lemming. I don't want to go. No. I go directly straight to the cold and get the biggest of reactions on my body. And within 30 seconds or something, I'm completely not feeling the cold anymore. And then 2 minutes later, I just finished it. It's okay. Doesn't need anymore. What the importance of that in the morning is that you wake up your vascular system. And your vascular system is like 2.5 times the world around in the length of the veins, arteries, and capillaries. Everybody has it. And it contains millions of little muscles. And they are trained if you go in, and adapt to a cold shower a day. And that way, your vascular system is optimized. And then your heart doesn't need to pump so much because all these millions of little muscles, they help the blood flow go through.
And work with each other.
Yes. It's one closed system. And the originator is the heart. What happens if you take a cold shower every day? The heart rate is going to go down with 20, 30 beats a minute, 24 hours a day. That means stress is gone. This is what we do. It's a hormetic exercising, hormetic stress exercising is a cold shower. Cold shower a day keeps the doctor away. What happens more is that the blood flow runs much better through the system. The nutrients, vitamins and minerals and oxygen, they get better to the cells. So it produces more energy. That's why everybody feels so energized directly after the cold shower. Because the system is getting better into feeding all the cells of ours, which makes up molecules, which is energy. You feel more energy. And when I take my ice bath, which is even more colder, I recommend 2 minutes, but then very soon you are able to go 5 minutes. And today, you and me, Alexander, we go for 10 minutes.
That's awesome.
Because we're going to set our mind.
Right. In the ice bath.
The power of the mind is amazing. This is what I've been showing in the last study. To be able to make my skin temperature not going down while ice water gets on the skin just by using the mind. Isn't that amazing?
That's amazing.
And that means we are able to make stress go away just by using our mind. And this is the result after so much training and exposing myself into the cold, that I've learned to awaken direct connections in the brain that enables me, just by thought, to make the difference in my body whenever there is stress. And that stress could be emotional, physical, bacterial, virus stress, mental stress, daily stress, stress and congestions, stress that you cannot shit well, whatever, you know. Stress is stress. And you are able, just by using your mind, to deal with that type or any type of stress. That is the message.
What is the negative effects from stress?
You got oxidative stress and hormetic stress. Oxidative stress is negative. That means that things you cannot handle, and they get into the cell mechanisms, and they have an absolute negative influence on the cell mechanisms and the mechanics and the telomeres, the longevity, the cell division, the DNA. And it produces wrong genome expressions, which makes you sick or even cancer in the end. So it all stress is like an attack on our healthy mechanisms. And if we learn how to deal with stress, the healthy mechanisms stay healthy. That's the whole trick. And this is what we do right now in San Francisco with 140 people, with the top researchers on the DNA, to show how to protect the cell by exercising, the cold showers and the breathing exercises. They are into positive stress activation, which is hormetic stress, and that makes the cell protected by proteins around the cell, like little guards, like little warriors who fend off viruses, bacteria, inflammation, and oxidative stress. So then the cell remains intact, and the healthy production of the mechanics of the cell, they are able to flourish and to keep on going. It's amazing what we found.
Yeah, it's amazing, and that's also what you did with the deadly bacterial E. coli.
Yeah.
And that is so crazy.
Yeah.
That you inject E. coli in your bloodstream.
Yes.
Can you tell
yes.
us a little bit about this?
Because of me doing a study, and I will show you the study, the first study, I was staying like 80 minutes in ice up till here, and I showed they took blood, like 36 of tubes out of my arm, while I was 80 minutes up till here, up till my neck in ice. And my core body temperature remained 37 degrees, 80 minutes long. And then they took the blood, and the blood, they injected E. coli ex vivo, so I was not there, but my blood was there. And normally you have a very violent reaction of the immune cells on the E. coli bacteria injected in the blood serum, and now there was zero reaction. They never had seen that. And then they said, can you do this?
That's crazy.
Yes. Can you do this when we inject you directly in your veins? I said, yeah, hey, let's try it out. I think so.
Let's try that. What is the worst that can happen? I die.
Yeah. Yeah. You get a little sick or heavily sick, but only for 6 hours. But I did not become sick. I did my breathing techniques. I used my mind, and I did not become sick. I felt great, and they saw that I was influencing directly at conscious will the autonomic nervous system, thought of inaccessible in medical scientific literature, that humans are able to do that. and I was showing the contrary. So with that, they said, yeah, but you are the Iceman. You are special. You are different. You are a freak of nature. And this is, with normal people, not possible. And then I told them, yes, give me people for 10 days, and I will make them able what science is saying that is not possible with the human physiology at will. I will make them able at will to influence so deep within their bodies. And with that, we will change medical literature as it is. And they said, okay, finally, they said, yes, let's do it. And we did a comparative study with 18 people there who did not train with me, and 18 people who I trained. 12 of them were randomly chosen to take part of the injection of the E. coli bacteria. And all of them, non-trained and trained. The non-trained people, they became all sick, and the trained people, after only 4 days of training, they did not become sick. And then they saw 16,134 people who had been exposed to the same experiment, all became sick. And then suddenly 12 people did 100% score in one comparative study, showed not to become sick. 100% score. So,
but this is only for that you train them for 4 days with the breathing technique, the focus, and also the cold.
Yes, exactly.
So what was the first time you exposure yourself to cold?
When I was 17, that's 43 years ago, I just saw this thin layer of ice on the water. I was pondering at Sunday morning in the park, and I saw nobody. I just felt attraction. I went in, and there from the inside, I felt so good. It's like, this is it. It's not in words, but that's the feeling. This is it. It's nice. It's good. And I was playing around with the ice. Never had been in ice water as such before. So whenever you feel so good, and only stayed 1 minute, I had a rush later, and I felt good all day long. Then the other day I came back, and I felt it again. And since then, I did it every day, every winter. So 43 years ago, I did it for the first time. And you know what happens when you go into the cold water? I began to realize the thing that happens when you go into the cold water is you breathe deep. Yeah. And that deeper breathing brought about that I was able to stay longer and longer controlled in ice water. And ice water is like stress. Ice water is stress on the body, severe stress. Everybody knows it. In Sweden, Finland, Norway, in Russia, that everybody knows. Oh, yeah. Oh, there we are. It is cold.
Yeah, it's
it
fucking cold.
Here we are. You got to man up. And this is what I've learned to do through these breathing techniques, to take away, to control the stress, to make swimming in ice water I always say, make of your winter a summer. Like what I do is in wintertime, I'm in shorts outside. I'm having a good time, like people in the summer. I swim outside. Yeah. I do yogic exercising, flexibility of my muscles, which needs to be warm. Outside in the snow, I call it snowga. Snowga. Yeah, man. And you can have such a fun going outside in the cold, and then afterwards take a hot shower. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's so good.
We miss out on that. We should take the winter as the greatest station of our years. Now we get the winter depression because there's little light. But you know what the cold does? It produces energy. That is like light. Light produces photosynthesis in the trees and in the leaves, produce glucose, life's energy, food for the cells. But so do we with the cold. We turn the cold into heat, internal heat in the body. It's because it affects the mitochondria, the energy factories inside, and more molecules are manufactured by going into the cold. It's amazing. And then depression is no longer there. Boom. It influences part direct with the endocrine system. The endocrine system is the hormonal system. What is depression? A lack of serotonin uptake and the dopamine. It's out of balance, and then you get the pressure loss. That's depression. Now, if you go into the cold, then it activates the endocrine system, and with that, it begins to supply where there is shortage. Where there is a lack, it begins to supply. Natural, because our bodies, they work that way. But we don't know how to bring the energy. The cold, controlled, like gradual cold exposure, is the ability to tackle depression.
I love all the science and the research that has been done to back the power of cold immersion. But what I love even more for the Wim Hof method is not so much the what, but the how it is facilitated. As Wim Hof said back when he was 17 and he first jumped into that cold and he, you know, the breath in. So the power of how you do the cold immersion with the Wim Hof breath, it is a breath along with jumping in, and it's all about connecting into your heart, going inside, and with the breath letting go. And I would love to also introduce you through a little podcast snippet that I've taken with Marcel. I had the pleasure of meeting Marcel, which is Wim Hof's brother, early this year, as I said, at the retreat. And he is just an absolutely gorgeous human being that really comes inside and talks about the power of who you are, which is life itself. And he lives and breathes and embodies this. Here he is.
I'm curious. Who is Marcel Hof?
I'm curious too. I don't know. I got this name somewhere in my during my education and with my parents. So, who is Marcel Hof? Marcel Hof is a name, but who am I? And I think in my deepest core, I'm life itself, coming through this body, the life force, and expressing myself as Marcel Hof. This is the name and way we recognize each other, but it's not me. It's the same force and energy which is going through all our bodies, and that's the unity we are. And it's time to really remember each other, that we are this creative force, this life force, and that we feel this life force from experience, not from the head. That's a beautiful story, because lots of people can talk about this, and books, full of shit also at the same time, because we want a real experience of life itself. We are free. We are happy, we are creative, just like the children. So who am I? The creative life force, the universe, the quantum field, the field of all possibilities. That's better than myself.
That sounds way better. I can redefine mine. So when was that first time that you actually connected with that life force, your own life force?
Yeah, I think when I came here on Earth and before already. But then, what we all do and what all happens is, we become identified with the body, with a certain amount of ideas, experience, etc. And you think you are that only. And then the educators come in, your parents come in, and they say, you cannot do this, you have to do that, and all these limitations. So at a certain moment, you limit yourself more and more because you believe in that story. So it took me a long time to see it was just a story. I am not limited, to release all these blocks and to acknowledge, no, I'm much more. And by doing all these things with my brothers also, like Wim and Ruud, especially Wim. Ruud was the other brother. We made a lot of music, tried out, coming into a flow. We climbed mountains, we climbed walking on bridges, doing yoga, doing extreme breathing exercises, going into the cold. From 13 years old, I'm now 57, becoming 58 already.
From 13 years old, you started.
Yeah, from 13 years old already. So it's part of my education. And I felt it feels good. because I felt the energy flowing. It's the life force. But then I didn't know, what is this? I just felt good. And that's the natural energy, the natural intelligence, whatever you call it, where you feel connected with nature, where you feel that you are one. And you don't feel distinction. So later we learn we are this certain body with certain ideas and certain thoughts, and then there are a lot of shit thoughts that come in from educators, like you have to do this before you are happy, you have to create that, and you have to, but you don't have to do anything at all. We are already this complete life force. So coming back and getting an experience of this feeling, this fullness, that's my message. And it is just a simple message, which we all already are, but really getting people to this beyond their own blocks, because we're all blocked, we are all programmed, hypnotized, whatever you call it. So just acknowledge these pieces and to become open and to become transparent with this, bring it into the light, and there comes the breathing in. It's just bringing more light into your body. Inspiration is, inspire is from Latin. Inspire means, spire is breath. Getting more breath in, getting more life in, everything comes into the light, and then all the shit thoughts come into the light. You just have to acknowledge them. And sometimes there's a lot of pain, sometimes a lot of sorrow. But if you allow that to happen, because I always say life is full, all experiences are there, life is total. Every experience is part of life. You cannot say this emotion I want, that emotion I don't want. Then it gets suppressed in the body. It gets stuck. So to get back, to bring that into the light, that is now my main purpose, my main message. Bring that into light and seeing that you are this light. You are doing it yourself. I only assist some people. I facilitate people to remember them to their deepest part. And there is this enormous beauty. It happens naturally. We've got this natural intelligence, I called it. It's just an idea, like 20 years ago it came up. It's natural intelligence of the body. The body knows. The body knows. Beyond and before the mind, the body knows. So just fill it in with a lot of energy, a lot of oxygen, and it goes to the mitochondria. That's the scientific part, more energy, more burning, more clarity. Then the things become clear, you can see it, and then you can release it and choose something else. Then you see you've got choice again.
So Mel, in the spirit of doing your ice dip somewhere a little bit unique and different, like your wheelie bin, I am going to head down the hill and jump into our trough in our hay paddock. And I thought while I'm walking down there, I might just share with you a podcast that I was listening to this morning when I was making a matcha. And it's with Stephen Bartlett from the Diary of a CEO. If you haven't seen his podcast, oh my goodness, jump in. It is a fabulous podcast interviewing amazing humans, as he is as well. And he was interviewing Gary Brecker. Loving his stuff that's popping up at the moment everywhere. And there's a really nice little clip in there where he talks about the benefits and the power of cold immersion. So as I walk down the hill, I'm going to play that, and I thought I might just show you a bit of the view here in New Zealand. We're in Hobbit land, so down in the Hobbit Hills, and you might get to see some of our horses on the way down as well.
So I'm a huge fan of cold water plunging, but probably not for the reasons why you think. You know, I also sit on the board of the NFL Alumni Association Athletica as a health services director. You know, there was a time when we used to think that putting athletes in cold water after exercise was good because of its anti-inflammatory effects. We know now that that's only about 15% of the benefit. The majority of the benefit comes from something called a cold shock protein. If you really want to be fascinated, Google cold shock proteins. These are reserve proteins that are in your liver. They're dumped into the bloodstream in an effort to save your life when you put yourself in cold water. They scour the body of free radical oxidation. They increase the rate of protein synthesis, muscle repair. They are free. You get them when you put yourself in cold water. I don't know what the Celsius conversion is, but I use 50 degrees for 3 minutes. Minimum, 6 minutes maximum.
Cold.
Yes. It's actually not that cold. I mean, you know, I see people getting in 37, 38 degree water. There's no evidence that I've read that shows that colder is better. You get a peripheral vasoconstriction, so it forces all the oxygen into the core and up to the brain. And you get an activation of something called brown fat, right? Thermogenesis comes from brown fat. And for the women that are listening, for some reason I seem to ensnare the women when I say this. Remember that the definition of a calorie is a measure of heat, right? I mean, the definition of a calorie is the amount of energy it takes to raise 1 cubic centimeter of water 1 degree centigrade. So if a calorie is a measure of heat, then this means that when heat's leaving your body, calories are leaving your body. So if there is nothing, no amount of exercise hits cardio, no type of cardiovascular or weight training that comes anywhere close to immersing yourself in cold water in terms of what will strip fat off your body fast. If you want to strip fat off your body, get in cold water 3 to 6 minutes a day.
Okay, so that was interesting trying to get over the fence with this one behind me. Looks like she wants to come too. Hey, beautiful. I think she actually just wants the grass on the other side. Okay, let's do this. Well, it might have been a good idea getting into the trough to match the wheelie bin idea, but not quite deep enough. Anyway, the chill and the wind certainly made up for it. And it wasn't long before that wind blew over my camera. Now, I just want to mention a beneficial practice when immersed in the cold is to focus on your breathing, follow your breath, slow it down, and invite your heart to open. Visualize your heart being filled with warmth and nourishing energy. And as you breathe, breathe a smile deep down into your body, into your heart. Find joy in the stillness and gratitude within the experience.
That's fascinating. Because the oxygen rushes to my head, that's why it has a really profound impact on mood.
That's why it has a very profound impact on mood, because if you think about it, what's the reason why we need deep sleep? What happens in deep sleep that's so special? There's a secondary oxygen transfer. We transfer oxygen from the periphery, from the extremities, to the brain. Remember, the brain's a non-metabolic organ. So in other words, it's unlike a muscle. If I pick up a weight and start to work out my muscle, my arm, my body will send more blood, more amino acids, more oxygen to that muscle because it's working. Well, if I'm sitting at my computer and I'm watching reruns of The Simpsons, or I'm sitting at my computer and I'm solving the most complex joint venture agreement, partnership agreement with all kinds of mathematical equations, my brain gets the same amount of nutrients, same amount of blood flow, same amount of oxygen. So it eats the same meal, whether or not it's in a dead sprint or whether or not it's just chilling on the couch, except in deep sleep and when you're in cold water, because it's forcing the oxygen up to the brain.
I am back. I've had a beautiful hot shower. There's a lot of research now that's showing the benefits of the contrast between heat and cold, but that's another discussion for another day. And I think Grace may have touched on that when she recently did a live event within our community. Hope you enjoyed Gary Brecker. He is really making a difference across all platforms. He's on social, he's on the stage. So highly recommend Googling him. I wanted to jump in here so that I could share my screen and just show you a couple of videos that we've got in our back end study group from the retreat that I did with Marcel Hoff, Wim Hof's brother, a few months back. Because there's a bit of a process that the Hoff practice has before you go and jump in the cold. And so there's different breath techniques. I'm not going to take you through all of that, but I'd love to show you one of my favorite breath techniques, which is the heart activation. There's dopamine activation. There's another one that brings you in to connect into your energy systems. But I absolutely love the heart one. And I know that in our back end study group, we've got a video there with Marcel Hoff. So I want to share that with you. And then I want to also show you when we were down in retreat, we had a warm up, and I walked down. So I didn't do this warm up in a sense when I was down there, but I warmed up as I was walking down. But it's highly recommended to warm up your body before you jump in. And let me just see if there's anything else in the back end that I want to share with you as well. But there's a couple of videos in there that I want to share. So I'll do that now. Okay, so this is our warm-up practice, and you can see Marcel Hoff standing there by the doors with the drum, and I'll play a little bit for you. Okay, so you get the picture. Basically, get up and move your body and get everything flowing and get those cells going and get energized. And now I want to share with you, we've got a little video in the back here with Marcel doing the heart activation breathing.
It's 3 short breaths and 1 deep long breath, and then let go of all the things you don't want anymore. It's a simple breath. Every time you go deeper in your heart and you breathe out, just let go, and you can use a sound like just relaxing every time deeper and deeper into your heart, where all effortlessness is, and you are just your heart. So it's opening up your heart, changing from the mind into your heart, relaxing and enjoying life as it is. 3 short breaths, then a deep breath, and then letting go. I will slowly, just like this. And the last one. So at the end, you can use a sound to let everything go you don't want anymore, easily, effortlessly. At the same time, imagine if you let go of everything, you fall deeper into your heart. So, and there is a very silent place. It's called the sacred place of your heart. There, all the things happen. There, all creation can happen. There, everything you want can happen, because you are life itself.
I believe Marcel is going to be back over in New Zealand in January. So if I can align calendars, I might get him to stop in here on his way down to the South Island and maybe facilitate some breath work and ice immersion, cold immersion. And I have to do my case studies. So if anybody is keen, now's the best time to do it, because we're in summer. Although I do also need to facilitate a couple of online sessions. So perhaps I could do one of those in our community. And I'm just thinking, like, we are a week out from Christmas. So I know that some of our team have gone on leave, and we've got my daughter's just wrapped up for the end of year. A number of organizations are closing the doors to have their summer holiday, if you're here down under, for like 2-3 weeks. So I also just want to take a moment to say thank you so much. And I might actually post this on social so that we can send it out to our wider database as well. Because if you're in the community or if you're in our wider database, I know that we have either got people on an annual subscription or individuals that might come in and do 2-3 months and jump in on one of our annual events. We quite often have ladies that would come in and do the gut health challenge, spend a couple of months in the community, do the liver detox, and then jump out and then come back in. We had some that did that and then jumped in for Embody the Switch, which was all around, setting our habits and jumping into that version 2.0. Gosh, what else have we covered this year? Forgiveness, self-sabotage. And our events, what makes our events is the energy that you bring. Like I reflect on the liver detox, and probably also right back to when we did our fast. So engaged, so much going on in the community. When you share your recipes, when you share how you're experiencing the process end to end, when you pop in with your photos and your videos and checking in on women and jumping in on the thread in the conversation, it just makes such a difference. So I just want to say thank you so much. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for being you. Thank you for being part of our amazing community. I feel so grateful to be here and be a part of it and be on the journey with you. So wishing you a fun, happy, relaxing, safe Christmas with family and friends, whatever you are doing. My children are a little bit older now, so we're having a breakfast here. Then I'm going to pop in and see my brother. Then they're probably going to go and see their aunties and their other nana and granddad, and probably end up, I'd imagine, on the lake, maybe water skiing if the weather's good. And I was thinking, I'm looking outside at our lawns and I'm thinking, I might even take the afternoon to come home and mow the lawns. I don't know. So whatever you're doing on Christmas Day and for your holidays and entering into the new year, please take care and look after you. I will be jumping in the community and saying hi and just checking in on everyone. But much love. Take care and see you soon. Bye.